Tremont Street is an important thoroughfare in Boston, connecting downtown and its many neighborhoods. One of these neighborhoods is the South End, and Tremont Street through this area has many businesses and homes, making it a lively and busy street. Tremont Street in the South End was recently transformed to prioritize safety and comfort for the community. This transformation includes many features to make mobility for pedestrians and bicyclists easier, including raised crossings, separated bike lanes, bus bulb stops, and a road diet. In the 3 years prior to this makeover, the Boston Transportation Department, or BTD, found that there were 53 crashes and 2 pedestrian fatalities recorded, and that's 53 crashes and 2 fatalities too many. The most drastic aspect of this transformation was the road diet, or the reduction of car lanes from 4 total with 2 in each direction to just 2, 1 in each direction. So I asked an expert, Professor Peter Firth at Northeastern University, to explain why we should reduce the number of car lanes if the opportunity arises.
Hi, I'm Peter Firth. I'm a professor of civil and environmental engineering at Northeastern. Taking a lane away from cars affects some streets very different from others. Some streets, they just have so much volume. They need the capacity of a second lane or it's going to cause huge traffic jams and backups. But other streets don't need it. So there's an intersection very near Northeastern where Tremont Street, coming from Jamaica Plain and Roxbury and Point South, divides. A lot of the traffic turns right and goes on the Melnia Cass Boulevard. A lot of the traffic turns left and then immediately right, and that becomes what Columbus Ave. And the rest of the traffic goes through on Tremont Street. So you've got 3 lanes of traffic approaching. More than a third go right on the Melnia Cass, and the rest go on to Tremont and Columbus. So basically, each of those roads is being fed with 1 lane. The number of lanes for cars affects 2 kinds of users. It affects drivers on Tremont Street, but it also affects people who are crossing the street. And bigger is not better for the people who are crossing the street. Crossing 4 lanes is so much more dangerous than crossing 2 lanes. When you're crossing 4 lanes, which means 2 lanes of traffic per direction, you have something called the multiple threat scenario.
The multiple threat occurs when a pedestrian starts crossing the street and a vehicle in the lane closest to the pedestrian begins to stop or yield, and that sight line becomes blocked or shielded by that car, so that the car traveling in the lane next to it and behind it will not be able to see the pedestrian and will be able to speed through the crossing without that pedestrian ever seeing the car coming, and is one of the leading causes for pedestrian crashes and pedestrian fatalities in the United States. For pedestrians, being able to cross a major street was a major win, but there was more that needed to be done. Raised crossings have a slight elevation change to bring the roadway of the minor street up to the level of the sidewalk where the pedestrian may be crossing. These have the effect of making cars feel like they're entering the pedestrian space and not the other way around. This slight vertical deflection, along with shark teeth markings, causes drivers to naturally slow down and yield to pedestrians before entering the intersection. The corners at the intersections also feature daylighting, or an extension of the sidewalk outwards into the roadway that minimizes the amount of distance that pedestrian must cross while maximizing their visibility to the cars. These curb extensions also make turns tighter for cars, reducing their speeds and giving enough of a buffer for a car to stop at the perpendicular crosswalk if there's a pedestrian crossing. But what about the bicycles? Fully separated bike lanes allow bicyclists to comfortably ride without the fear of getting passed by faster traffic and allow enough physical separation from parked cars to prevent getting doored. Transit users as well now have bus bulbs at each stop, putting waiting passengers in a refuge space between the roadway and the bike lane, preventing users from blocking the bike lane. And now buses can pull up directly to the curb where passengers can get on and off directly onto the bus without having to step over a big gap or having to have a major step up or down in elevation.
Get the traffic down to 1 lane per direction to get rid of that multiple threat, and make the traffic less chaotic, make traffic more predictable, make it slower, and that makes it safer.
So now that Tremont Street is safer for all road users, the community is just as vibrant as ever. This community deserves facilities that guaranteed safety and equity to pedestrians, transit users, and bicycles while improving the driving experience. This story serves to show that less car lanes sometimes can mean more, and that vibrant, busy streets are what ultimately caters to the community. Thank you for listening to Cityscapes, and thank you for Professor Peter Firth for providing insight on Tremont Street's transformation.